Thanks for checking back in with us here at Orlando Experience. In today's video, we're going to talk about what we think the future of Walt Disney World might look like. Disney has announced in some form or fashion that they plan on investing about 15 to 17 billion into the Walt Disney World resort area over the next decade or so. And so what we want to do is kind of break that down and look at what that might mean to Walt Disney World. So we're going to break it into four parts. Part one, we're going to look at what has currently been announced, but more importantly, talk about what the strategy is and why Disney is approaching the parks as they are currently. In part two, we're going to talk about how long could they keep that strategy legitimately up. And then in part three, we're going to talk about what major expansions each of the parks might be getting in the near future over that 10-year time frame. And then finally, look at kind of the big elephant in the room. Is Disney going to build a major fifth gate at the Walt Disney World Resort over the next decade? So let's first talk a little bit about why we think Disney is taking the approach it's taking with projects at Walt Disney World right now. So there's no secret that Disney and the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District are at odds with each other at this time. And so Disney is looking at ways to do projects without triggering what I call the more subjective reviews by government agencies. And those subjective reviews can be things like infrastructure or stormwater or water quality. So it's one thing to go in and get a building permit. It's a pretty simple process. The code says you need to do X. As long as you do X, you get your building permit. But when you start doing things like changing pervious surface, which is surface that is basically, just think of it as grass or nature, into impervious surfaces, then there's a lot more subjectivity that can kick in on what the requirements might be to get those permits. So with this in mind, let's take a look at all the current projects that Walt Disney World has underway or has announced that they are going to be doing throughout the theme parks. So let's first start over at Animal Kingdom. We know at Animal Kingdom, the one official announcement over there is that It's Tough to Be a Bug will be converted into Zootopia. Once again, this fits the criteria of not changing impervious versus pervious surfaces. You're sticking with your current building footprint and just changing out the show to create a new experience. Over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, a very similar situation is playing out for this year. Disney is bringing back an updated version of The Voyage of the Little Mermaid, as well as changes and updates to Star Tours attraction. This allows them to basically just be working within the same footprint and not really doing any major changes for infrastructure. So over at Epcot, Disney is wrapping up its major expansion of that park with the finishing touches being put on the Communicore Hall. The other thing that Disney has announced for Epcot is a major update to Test Track. Once again, this will open for next year and is another example of them staying within their current footprint, basically just needing to pull building permits to bring a new experience into the park. So over at Magic Kingdom, a very similar scenario is playing out. Splash Mountain is being redone into Tiana's Bayou Adventure. The Country Bear Jamboree is getting an update to that show, as well as Disney has announced that a new tavern that will be themed after Pirates of the Caribbean is coming, which we believe will just replace the Tortuga Tavern that's across the walkway from Pirates. So those are the main attractions that Disney has currently announced for Walt Disney World. On top of that, Disney has also hinted at some other developments that could be coming in the near future. So let's take a look at part two of our video, which is how long can Disney keep up this approach to development in the park. So if you take a look at Animal Kingdom and see what they have hinted about, there's this idea of bringing the tropical Americas to life in the Dino Land area. And if you take a close look at the drawings that they've submitted so far to the public, you can see that most of everything that they're doing in this land is, once again, within the current impervious surface areas. It's building facades, it's updates to existing attractions, and then even over in the Hester and Chester area, Disney shows that they're staying within that current footprint, which is mostly concrete and asphalt right now. So by Disney not removing all the concrete where Primeval Whirl was located, which a lot of people gave them a lot of grief over, might actually turn out to their benefit because they still have kept that impervious surface in this area that could easily help them expand into that area with the Encanto land. Over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, probably their easiest opportunity currently in that park is to do an update to the Star Wars Launch Bay building areas. I don't know what that update looks like, but there is quite a bit of space there that they could bring a new attraction or experience into that park, once again, without triggering a lot of additional reviews beyond just regular building permits. So over at Epcot, Disney probably has its biggest opportunity of all the parks, and that is to reinvigorate and redo the Wonders of Life Pavilion. I don't think this is ultimately going to be the Play Pavilion that they originally announced, but this building gives them a great chance to bring in a major e-ticket experience, once again, staying within the parameters of the things we've been talking about. I think a couple of other options that they have at Epcot is, once again, if they want to really play to the fan base, really give Journey to Imagination an update. I think that would be a huge hit, as well as they could go back to the updates that they have been talking about for Spaceship Earth. This brings us over to Magic Kingdom. So what opportunities at Magic Kingdom could they take this same approach? I think their lowest hanging fruit is obviously in Tomorrowland, the ability to bring a new attraction finally into the old Stitch's Great Escape building. I think they also have another opportunity in Tomorrowland by finally redoing Space Mountain with all new track and a coaster experience that would be highly marketable for them in the future. So this brings us into our conversation known as part 3. So once they get past whatever this scenario looks like for them and the different agencies in the area, what type of major expansions could they be looking at the different parks? So I think over at Epcot, once again, there's a great opportunity for them to bring back the Mary Poppins attraction. I think also there really is probably a need and a desire from the fan base and the customers to see 1 or 2 new countries get built around World Showcase. I think some of the obvious countries that they could do is either an India country pavilion or a Brazilian pavilion, or both. At Animal Kingdom, there's been a lot of rumors that Disney continues to look at ways to expand Pandora. I think that's a very obvious opportunity for them in the park. I think you're going to see finally another new nighttime show on the lake in the park that'll probably include drones. And why many people don't like this, I actually think Zootopia is a pretty good fit for Animal Kingdom and would allow them to bring a trackless dark ride into that park, which it currently does not have. This brings us to Magic Kingdom, where I think the 800-pound gorilla opportunity awaits, and that is the development beyond Thunder Mountain. I really hope that they stick to the Magic Kingdom's concept, which is that there are no single IPs that control an entire land. And with that idea in mind, I really think the Villains Land is probably the best fit in Beyond Thunder. I think this allows them to bring in kind of the opposite of Fantasyland into the park. I think they can absolutely mitigate any concerns that it might be too scary for children, etc. But it'll bring another major land with major IP opportunities within Magic Kingdom. That brings us over to Disney's Hollywood Studios. And I think that park really needs a land that, one, will bring a water-based attraction to it, as well as something that's going to bring a lot more natural vegetation and foliage into that park, which it sorely lacks. And so I actually think the Moana Flume ride that had been floated as an expansion at Animal Kingdom would work really well at Disney's Hollywood Studios. So this brings us to part 4 of the video, and that is Disney going to build a major 5th theme park? I don't think they are in the next decade. I think there is just too much opportunity in the existing parks to grow their business model at Walt Disney World. But I do think that there's a very real possibility that Disney will bring in what they call a minor theme park. So a minor theme park is things like Typhoon Lagoon, Blizzard Beach. I think they have a great opportunity to bring in a minor theme park based off of adventure. If they want to tap into something that has not been done in the Orlando market up to this point, this gives them that opportunity. Bring in something that has an indoor ski facility, very much like you've seen in Dubai, with a ski lodge and resort attached to it. Do an outdoor man-made whitewater rafting course, as well as rock climbing and zip lines, etc., and make it more of a mini adventure park that people could do something totally different and unique on their vacation in Orlando that they couldn't otherwise do. So now we hand it over to you to leave your thoughts and comments down below. We'd love to hear your ideas of what you think Disney will be doing or should be doing in the future, as well as do you think that Disney's going to build a 5th gate, and what does that 5th gate look like? Is it a major theme park or a mini theme park? And finally, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, hit that like button, and also subscribe. And we really appreciate you viewing and watching this video. We hope you have a great day.